Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. My name is Anissa Teish, and this is the first episode of the new Still Making It in CT. We felt the need to do this type of format because of what you're looking at right now. We are all sitting at home. We are living in a new reality, and the wonderful stories that we were telling as part of our Make It in CT live panel series were unfortunately cut short. We got to 4 of them. We will certainly pick them up at some point, but we wanted those stories to continue. And so this is a special, hopefully limited, Vodcast series. And hopefully we'll go back to the live at some point, the live in person at some point. But I wanted to introduce to you the guests that I admire so much that are with us today from both Harc and SockStarz. These ladies have done such incredible work throughout their career, but we want to highlight some things that have been going on over the past year with the launch of their social enterprise, SockStarz. And then we also want to understand how all of this is impacting their work right now. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce both Patricia Kinney and Lori Gailey, and on the phone, not on video, is also Lori Madden. And so, ladies, what I'd love for you to do, maybe Patricia first, introduce yourself, a little bit of background of your career and your involvement with Harc and SockStarz.
Okay, thank you very much, Anissa. And we admire you a lot too. You've been very good for us. You've been a guiding light, and we really appreciate that you're along on this journey with us. So I spent 25 years in the insurance industry, a career that I absolutely loved. I started in sales, but working with a big company as my family grew, my career evolved, and they were accommodating of, what I needed at any point in my career. But my passion was always the sales part of that job that I did for the first 10 years or so. I stopped working about 12 years ago. I had a sick child and to do at the time, and I was fortunate that I was able to do that. Then fast forward a few years, I think about 6, that I came in contact with a group called Harc, and I was at the point where my son's situation was under control, and I could devote myself to a nonprofit. And my husband and I really fell in love with the passion and the mission of Harc. And soon after, I got invited to join the board, and I've been on the board for about 6 years. And then, a year or so ago, well, actually more like 15 months or so ago, started this seminar with the Hartford Foundation, which resulted in us starting this social enterprise called SockStarz, which I know we'll get into detail later, but I'll let Lori give you her background.
Thank you. So my journey began 20 years ago. For 20 years, I was in the corporate retail world. How I got to Connecticut was through Casual Corner Stores at the time, which no longer is in existence, and headed up a division of theirs with buyers and product development and marketing, et cetera. And life's journey, as the stores dissolved, life's journey took me to becoming a caregiver for a while for an aging parent. And I was introduced to Harc through a mutual friend about 3 years ago, and joined Harc a little over 2.5 years ago. And I am in charge of all of the events at Harc, all of the fundraising events, and became involved. My responsibilities shifted once we joined this journey of getting into a social enterprise, and am fully involved with SockStarz and running the business of SockStarz along with Patricia.
And Maureen on the phone as well.
Hi, ladies. Hi, guys. I'm Maureen Madden, and I have been doing fundraising and marketing for all of my career. And the last 1.5 years, I joined Harc and is now their vice president over development and marketing and donor relations. So I've been blessed to be able to be a part and help out with SockStarz. And that's my little journey.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. I mean, what you've done for and with this organization has been spectacular. And I've been lucky, certainly to work with you guys in the context first of SockStarz. So tell us a little bit about how Patricia, you had touched on it a little bit, the program with the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. How and why did SockStarz come up when going through that program regarding, building a social enterprise? Why SockStarz?
Well, I think what was great about this seminar is that they just helped us take stock of what skills the organization had. You're trying to start something new. You're going to work with the resources you have, which nonprofits are really good at doing that. And as we canvassed the group that could get involved, it was apparent that we didn't have skills in like the food service industry per se. We didn't have anybody stepping up saying, hey, I'm a cook and, I've got a great idea. And we went through, very systematically went through a series of what skills do we have and what conceptually can we bring to market in the near future. That was one of the requirements. If you had to be ready to launch an enterprise by the time they were down to selecting the finalists and demonstrate that you could do so in a defined time frame. It wasn't going to be like, oh, now 5 years from now, we'll actually do this. That was like going to get you into the finalists. So we knew that we had great retail backgrounds, such as Lori's, another board member named Michelle Joyce, who also came from a retail background, as well as at the time, she was our chief administrative officer, Annette Hargrove, who's now our interim CEO since our previous CEO has left. It was quite obvious that retail was the way to go. And we were inspired by a concept that our board chair had seen. So Lori and I took a road trip to check out a novelty sock store. And it became pretty apparent that that was the way for us to go. You need a lot of space. You could start without any space. You could start through pop-ups. You could go online. It was a product that was on trend, and our employees that we hoped to employ through the programs that are at Harc could understand the product. It was easy for them to handle, and we could just have a lot of fun with it. So that was how we went down that road. And before we even finished the first segment of the seminar, before we made our pitch to investors, we said, you know what, these investors are going to look at us and say, well, you've never done this before. Why should I give you money? So with a very small amount of seed money, we were able to acquire an inventory, some grids, start booking pop-ups. And before we even did our first pitch, we already had $25,000 worth of revenue. So I think our strategy of, a proof of concept was an important part of attracting the investors that we had hoped to attract. Lori, elaborate on that. Other things that you thought were.
Yeah, I was, it's so funny. Time goes by so quickly. And I was thinking back that, the end of January, a year ago, is when we made our first purchase of socks. We went to a trade show. We purchased from vendors. Yeah. We had done research on, who we kind of wanted to get into. And our first sale was in March. So it was product we could get into very quickly. We could turn it around quickly. It wasn't a huge financial investment, but we could make a modest financial investment and still have this great assortment of inventory. And as Patricia said, we had over $25,000 in sales before we even went to our first investor for a pitch. So we knew we were onto something once we've had a few of the pop-ups underneath our belt.
Right.
Yeah, and there's no denying kind of what, even just seeing kind of a variety of the products that you guys sell.
Right.
They're amazing and hilarious and colorful and just joyful. It's an amazing thing to kind of be around. But I wanted to get a feel for, social enterprises in general, why they're so important to organizations like Harc, nonprofits. Maureen, Patricia, Lori, if you guys could give us a feel for how before SockStarz, Harc was really getting their funding. Any sort of, I know that those things can kind of ebb and flow with the economy, the generosity of donors and sponsors. What did that kind of look like before SockStarz? And then what kind of impact has SockStarz already started to make on the funding for Harc? Okay.
Well, in 1 year, there's not been a big financial impact, but I'll take you through the first exercise we actually did in this seminar was to document your current sources of revenue. what comes from the government, what comes from grants and donations. And 85% of the revenue to operate Harc comes from state and federal funding. The remainder is grants and donations. So when you have that kind of dependency on, high percentage on one source, it does, have quite an impact on the organization. I was on the board years ago. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago when Malloy was doing a lot of belt tightening, and there was suddenly, millions of dollars, which translates they called them rescissions. So it had been put into the state budget and then taken out. So it was millions of dollars in the human services category, which translates into hundreds of thousands for Harc. Okay, and Lori and Maureen can attest to how hard it is to raise $100,000. So when it's an overnight $200,000 that you're losing, you can't make up for it. And there was a point when the Connecticut government was closed down for a while, so there was no funding, and there was a furlough of employees. And fortunately, Hartford Foundation at the time came in and helped keep our employees working during that furlough, because we had no money in from the state. So that backdrop is the inspiration for why organizations such as ourselves have been starting what they call social enterprise. So it's any kind of business that generates a return for a nonprofit. Okay, so you not to get too technical, but we are a subsidiary of Harc, and there are parts of the tax law that allow for a for-profit entity to be a part of a nonprofit, provided that you're following certain rules about arm's length transactions and whatnot. And we've followed all of that. So, we feel confident that we can, operate this way. So the idea is to give you more control over your destiny. So you have more of a cushion to take you through those kind of times. And I've been really impressed with some of the people, in our space, if you will, as nonprofits. We got introduced through the consultants at the Hartford Foundation to somebody on the West Coast who generates 50% of their revenue through their social enterprise. And somebody recently that some of our folks visited down in New Jersey, which is a higher percentage that they're generating. So obviously we've just taken baby steps. This is our, we're only a year in. People have obviously been doing this long before us. We're 1% of revenue right now. So we've got a long way to go, and we're looking for any opportunity for this, business to blow up and become, get out of its infancy stage and become, much more impactful to the organization.
And you guys are, definitely on your way there. I mean, it's been an amazing year.
Yeah.
What has it done, kind of internally? Like I was saying, having this kind of joyful product line that you're, selling, and all of the events and things that kind of spun up around it, the store itself, being able to employ some of the participants of Harc. What has that done both for the staff? How have they kind of felt the difference and felt the joy that's kind of infused by SockStarz, and that of the participants as well?
Lori, why don't you take that one?
Oh, okay. It's definitely been a culture shift, and it's been an exciting culture shift as an organization that, when people first started hearing about, oh, we're starting a sock business, at first there was a little skepticism, quite honestly, like, okay, we don't quite understand this. But then when they saw, and we converted, we call 900 Asylum our warehouse. We've taken an office and have converted it into our warehouse, and the excitement that the staff exude when they see the product is just really a lot of fun. And the fact that, what you said, Anissa, that we have hired Harc participants, and they see the folks labeling the product, and not all of our folks are able to be out in the store and be out in the public, but there's a lot of back support that we need in the warehouse environment of preparing the product to go and sell in the stores, as well as the job coaches' involvement as well. So it's very exciting to see that we are able to create employment, because employment is very challenging for our folks, for anybody with any type of disability, and they have one of the highest unemployment rates. And we're helping to curtail that and to give them income.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been, quite an exciting time in the organization, and the product is a lot of fun. We hold pop-ups at our office for the employees on certain days, on special days, and offer them special promotions, and it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really
One
fun to see their
thing that
expression.
I would like to add is we, during this seminar, we had some touch points. Once the original 40 people got pared down to 10, and we were the ones who were then, trained in the art of the pitch, to make the pitch to our investors so we could actually start our enterprises. So the tenacious 10, as they like to call us, got together from time to time, some touch points. And what really struck me was when we were preparing our remarks for that, our former CEO, Andrea Barton-Reeves, said, you know what, I think what we learned is you can be in the human services business where you're very thoughtful and planful and careful because it impacts people's lives, but still be nimble enough to take an endeavor like this. You have to shift gears. You have to recognize if you're going to be in this space, it's a legitimate business and it has to be operated by, like a business in every regard. And you have to be market sensitive, but you have to, the difference between how you operate in one part of your business versus the other. And I think that was the biggest epiphany that's come about, is that they both can live under the same roof.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live and certainly thrive under the same roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point. Obviously, it's not a social enterprise is not like a hobby of a nonprofit,
Right.
No, it's not. Exactly.
It is a business that needs to run and operate, and their operating costs and things like that. So
Right.
Apart from you had mentioned Lori, some pop-ups and stuff that you guys do, and I know the answers to this, but I'm going to bait you a little bit. You do have a variety of sort of revenue streams, even within SockStarz, that you guys employ and you kind of work on. So pop-ups, the store, what other kinds of things are you guys doing to to bring in that business, even now?
Well, obviously we also have our e-commerce site. So we launched that back in June, and then quickly came upon this opportunity to have the retail space, which we didn't think we would have until the middle of 2020. That was in our original plan, but this retail space came about much quicker than we thought. Yep. So, kind of slipping into our, current environment with COVID, I'm trying to use this time as much as possible, because when thinking back now, all the things we thought we would do in 2019 as far as the website went, really, we switched gears into figuring out the logistics of bringing the socks into our warehouse, still conducting pop-ups, the new logistical challenges of staffing and bringing product into the store. And we did, we opened on September 28th. So we were right in that holiday season. We went right into that 3 months of, the end of the year, and we could not have been busier. So the only one of the three revenue, streams that I would say is not where I really like it to be is the e-commerce site. And this whole experience that we're going through right now has given us a lot of downtime and enabled us to focus on not so much executing on it as much as planning for what we want to do next in terms of that revenue stream.
Right.
Yeah, now that, obviously we're all kind of indoors and the pop-ups were canceled, those that you guys had scheduled, the store itself is closed, correct? And so now what does the team look like, that is running SockStarz? I mean, are we looking at it, or what does it look like? I know there were some other folks involved.
Well, we are currently, as far as inventory, we are at the level that we were just as we went into the holiday season. So, given that we know revenue is down, we're not ordering any product right now. That's, completely stopped. The store is temporarily closed. And we wrestled with the idea of, should we continue even selling online? And that, that's when we said, what, this is the time to show our investors and the Harc community how committed we are to this. So we've purposely kept it open. We've been posting more than normal. We're still sending our impact report out as scheduled. We want to show everybody we can stay on schedule and still, try to live in this new normal. And make the commitment to getting up that learning curve that we, know we still have ahead of us to be more effective in the online space. So yes, you are looking at the staff right now. We have restrictions on going into 900 Asylum because of needing to keep the staff there low, and we're able to fill orders either there or through the store. So practically speaking, since there's more inventory at the store, we're filling the orders through the store, and I live the closest. So when we get an online order, I work that into my limited errands that I do during the day and go over to the store, fill it, and bring it down to the post office. And I've been really appreciative of all the people who have placed orders.
Yeah, which is definitely still happening, which is lovely to see, even though I know, financially, we all kind of don't know what is going to happen. But I think it's important for, the message to be that you guys are still open. The work that you do and what we can provide as consumers in buying a pair of socks, what that actually does, right? It not only, and you guys actually have a really interesting merchandising strategy, right? Laura, you can go into this a little bit, where not only, of course, do the profits for the sake of SockStarz go to Harc, right? But a lot of the merchandising strategy that you've employed over the last 6 months has brought in other sock manufacturers that are also in the sort of social good arena. So you're buying something from an organization that is paying it forward, but then you're buying it through SockStarz, which is also paying it forward. So it's a love fest.
Right. Yeah, Lori, I would love for Lori to elaborate on the trip that we made to Atlanta, because we were looking to diversify into some other areas, besides sock, and we had a great time. So I'd love for her to elaborate on that.
Yeah. So you're right in that. So we currently carry socks that fuel other missions. Conscious Step gives back to United Nations initiatives. We have vendors that employ folks with intellectual disabilities. And that was one of our missions when we went to Atlanta to this trade show, is to find USA made product and to find other products other than socks to diversify our product assortment that support other initiatives and ideally, folks with disabilities. And we found a few businesses that we were very excited about. We found one sock vendor that we absolutely love, Notes to Self, that are very inspirational socks that was created by a mother, made in the USA. And she started with her daughter when she was in high school, would write all these inspirational messages on her socks that she would wear to her sporting events. You're awesome, you're crushing it, stay strong. And we now carry these socks in our inventory, and they're just wonderful. And we've gotten a really great response. They're high quality, they're made in the USA. Plus, she gives back to homeless shelters. So similar to what a Bombas does, but she gives back to shelters in the United States, women's shelters, homeless shelters, children's shelters. So we felt very good about carrying her product. And then also another company that's a hand care creams, sanitizers. We do sell sanitizing spray and lotions. And this company, the product is packaged by folks with intellectual disabilities. And their artwork inspired the design of the packaging, which is similar to our Art Sparks program that we have at Harc. So we were very excited about the new sources that we had discovered, and those products are selling well in the store.
So some of the things that you guys mentioned, in looking forward to the refocus on your e-com, really kind of moving further into that now that the store, unfortunately itself, the brick and mortar location and the pop-ups have to go on hiatus for now. You guys have a pretty robust, tech stack, like some of the things that you use, the technologies you employ to remain a lean, mean machine, right? So talk to us about a few of those things, like what, excuse me, in the store, what are you guys using for your, your point of sale right now?
Shopify is not only our point of sale, it's also our inventory management system, as well as the platform that the website is designed on. And we were grateful to one of our other board members who helped us kind of look at the landscape and pick something out. And it really was a great, selection. And they're really rocketing to the top of this space since we signed on with them, a little bit more than a year ago. They're just, it is that easy. So anybody who wants to start a business, it's by far my recommendation. They deliver an amazing amount of value for a very low fixed monthly amount. And what was really nice about the point of sale aspect of it was when we went to train our sales clerks, they just thrived on it. I'll still never forget the time that I put our first person, Shauna, in front of the cash register, and I said, we're going to train you on this. And I had some cash ready so we could do a cash transaction, and I had my credit card. I think she was just totally shocked that I was even handing my credit card to her. And that's when I knew we were really onto something, is we had something that was easy for them to use. It was easy for us to train on. And as intimidated as I was about starting to, make changes on the website, I feel pretty comfortable doing it now today. So it's really been a great tool to use. Sometimes I surprise myself.
You are a webmaster.
I'm a reluctant webmaster, but a webmaster nonetheless. So I feel good about Shopify. And then, of course, once we asked Nissa to join our team, you rounded out our suite of tools. Right. That we use. We needed to improve our graphics, and you got to start it on Canva, but we already had some in-house folks that knew how to use it. So that was good. And with everything that they have on my plate, again, I've been forced to become a Canva user too.
It's so easy. It's good. You're doing so well.
Easy. My son is home from college right now, so he was looking over my shoulder. He saw me in Canva, and he's, on his, college newspaper, and, they, Canva. I mean, I surprised him. Okay. Yes, I know Canva. He absolutely gave me a thumbs up on what I was working on. So I feel good about that. And I highly recommend it. I mean, again, the monthly cost of Canva, you cannot beat it. I mean, you just can't. It's just a great tool. And when you learn how to integrate it with, Shopify, and then there's HubSpot. So that's definitely the lowest on my I'm at the lowest point on my learning curve.
We'll do some more training, don't you worry.
But you know what? I'm not. I mean, when I, the other day when I attached our Facebook link and our Instagram link, I was just blown away. It was way easier than I just have to remember that I can't break it, so. Yeah. If it looks stupid, nobody's going to let me send it out. So it's just that simple. So again, this downtime, I think if we use it wisely, it's going to really pay off.
Yeah.
In the end. So.
And that's great advice to other businesses like you. Whether you're in retail or not. Think of it as a time to really sit down and reinvest in, some tools, some technology, learn some things, pour yourself back into your business plan. I know, we have some folks that are helping with that, Bolton included, in the community. It's so important to, I don't want to say the word take advantage, because I feel the phrase take advantage, because it feels icky during this time, but to find the silver lining and where possible, right? And we have to persevere. The worst thing I think that any of us can do is to kind of get in that mindset of okay, well, everybody's in the same boat, and the world is against us, and we can't do anything about it. And I don't believe that, and I know that you guys don't.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think we alluded to the fact that it was a little bit of a dilemma. Do we, the keeping the store open became a non-issue because we really just were not allowed to, per the governor's directives, and I'm really good with that. It then seemed, when we looked at the work that our colleagues were doing to keep the programs at Harc going, so these are things that you could not stop. Okay. I really felt like, is this kind of frivolous, or is this, a necessity? Is it, and when we saw how they rose to the occasion, I mean, keep in mind, like over 250 people go to that building at 900 Asylum every day. Initially, it had to be below 100. And then it was reduced to 50. It was the only way that the Department of Developmental Services felt like they could ensure everybody's safety. So it was a major shift of people back to either their own homes or our group homes or the group homes of other organizations that we affiliate with. And many of these people need the services every day. They're in group homes because their families can't, take care of them. And we had to stay out of 900. Again, we were not essential to 900, but everything that's been reported to us is they really have worked seamlessly to keep everything, the needs of those people met. And that's when we said, well, you know what, we have to do our part. We have to show that we're just as tenacious, because that's the reason why we started this. And again, we're glad that we did.
Yeah, you guys are doing an amazing job. Maureen, if you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
yeah,
if you could also shed some light as to, how it's going with 900, but also, from the Harc side, obviously we know from the SockStarz side, buy socks. Buy socks.
Buy socks.
They're going to a great cause. They're probably going to multiple causes for the merchandising strategy we were just talking about. But how can we also support Harc directly?
Oh, great. Thank you. Yes. First of all, like you said, buy socks. That always helps. I agree with that one. Thank you, Anissa, for asking. We, as Patricia alluded to, we, our employees that are usually there during the day are now out in other, helping the participants, but in a different way, right? So they're, like she said, not only in the group homes, they're also in some people's personal homes, working with the participants there. They're also at some of our job sites that we have, similar to SockStarz, but we have other job sites where our participants are working at. So our workers are actually there, and they are doing the jobs of what the participants were doing, so that we actually can keep these job sites and then actually have a job for them when the participants are able to come back to work.
Wow.
So they're out there doing that. So one of the things we're working on and hopefully be getting out in the next day or so is an appeal to ask the community to help in many different ways. And one way to do that is to support the appeal, of course, so that we can help first of all, our participants are not getting paid, the ones that are not going to work. So they do not have an income coming in right now. They cannot apply for unemployment. And we're still researching that more, but there is many of those participants and their families count on that income in order to pay the rent, to buy groceries, to pay bills. So we are doing everything we can to try to help supplement that income. And that will be a part of our appeal, as well as all the good works that Patricia mentioned that our workers are doing out there, working many, many extra hours and helping the families. We'd like to do some sort of a thank you to our employees that are doing such a great job. So that will be a part of our appeal as well. So that would be helpful. And if anybody knows of any grants or foundations or organizations that are helping organizations like ourselves, because we are losing income in different areas, our Birth to 3 program is going to be losing some income as well. I'm just getting an understanding of that today.
Keep in mind, Birth to 3 is it's a service that's delivered in people's homes. So a lot of families limited allowing the Birth to 3 teachers in. They've done a remarkable job of converting to an online program, but they may have families who don't have internet service, don't have a computer. So that's part of the appeal, is to get additional tools that we can loan to the families so that they can continue that important work for these kids who, you want to keep them on track and want to make them school ready as best you can. Their learning at home is just as important as anybody who's in grade school or high school or any place else. Yeah.
Great.
Yes. So if anybody knows of any of other organizations out there, grants, we're doing our own research, obviously, but there are a lot of organizations that want to help, and we'd love to hear about them and see if we qualify for any assistance. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and just Annette, if I understand, not Annette, Maureen, if I understand correctly, there's a big cost to all the additional personal protective equipment that we're having to buy at the group homes, and
Yes, the masks and everything else that goes along, the gloves, and yes, there's going to probably about a $10,000 budget that we're going to need for that as well. We've been buying right now, but we're going to need more as time goes on.
Right. It's really very similar to what you're seeing at hospitals.
Yeah, because these people are, they're depending on the needs of the participant, they are providing some, essential, services to folks and certainly need the protective gear for that. Yeah. Wow, guys.
There's a lot. There's
so much going on.
Park. There's always a lot.
Yeah.
So we appreciate this, platform to get our message out. It's not just about a social enterprise.
Of course. And the real, the part of the reason why I wanted to have you guys on, was obviously I know and I love you. I appreciate all that you do, for the community, but also because of what we talked about at the start of this, the fact that you did have a fantastic year, first year with this wonderful social enterprise, and you're celebrating that, giving the community a bit of good news for sure with the release of your first impact report. And so I'm actually going to give that to the folks here on the call, joining us live. But then you can also, we'll also make that available to the community. If you go to SockStarzUSA.com and subscribe to their newsletter, to their email list, that is going to go out tomorrow, Friday the 27th. And we'll have a place where folks can download that ongoing. But, the more people that sign up to receive emails from SockStarz, the more of this great information that you'll receive, the more you'll know about how to help both SockStarz and Harc in these amazing services. And I will add, you guys were extending the World Down Syndrome Day, March kind of campaigns till the end of the month, because unfortunately, COVID took a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the joy surrounding Down Syndrome Day and all that was going on there. So they're offering 25% off with using code AWARE at checkout at SockStarzUSA.com until the end of the month. So
if I can, one more shameless plug.
Of course. Always.
Keep us in mind, keep us in mind for all your gifting. I mean, you can just, like Lori mentioned, the notes to self. If you just want to, raise somebody's spirits, when you look at that line of socks, it's right on the feature section of our website. You see that, that I am strong and I have hope, and there's just some really great messages. And it's a great sock, like Lori said, it's like a Bombas, but it's made in USA and it's a high cotton content. And my daughter is now totally hooked on them. They're awesome. The go-to workout sock. It's coming. There are some amazing things in there that are great for Easter baskets. Our socks are great in the Easter basket. There's other little inspirational cards and other things that just are great, to add to the candy. And we just got a line of great compression socks. So if you're looking for some way to say thank you to a healthcare worker or the folks that work for us are just direct support professionals who are on their feet a lot and working really hard, buy them a pair of our compression socks. If you want to donate a pair, just write it in a little message when you order it online and just say, donate this to someone who's working really hard. And believe me, we know plenty of people that we can do.
Right.
So, that's fantastic.
Plus we have free shipping.
And everything is free shipping.
Right.
Free shipping. We took away the $25 limit. So you can just order one pair of socks, free shipping, just send them to somebody. We noticed a lot of what we're getting recently is somebody making the order, but it being shipped to somebody else. So I think they're taking our advice and sending a little something in the mail just to lift somebody's spirits.
Good. Yes, we all need a little bit of that right now. And something from SockStarz will definitely do it. So ladies,
Mother's Day is coming up too. Don't forget.
Mother's Day and Father's Day. And there's a new line in there with mini me's that are really adorable. So it's a 2-pack with a grown-up sock and a kid's sock for ages 2 to 5. And some of them are just absolutely adorable. I mean, one of them, the mother's socks or the grown-up sock says, edamame, a mommy, and then the kid said, I'm so cute, and there's another one,
They're very fun.
Fall far from the tree. It's just really cute. So check that one out.
Oh my
too.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, I get those. My son's entire sock drawer is full of SockStarz stuff. I should have just pointed it, like it's literally right over there. Everything is SockStarz novelty socks. So anytime they have like crazy sock day at school, I'm like, that was yesterday.
That's every day.
Right. Right. So there's my shameless plug. I'm a salesperson at heart, and
well, thank you, ladies, very much for all that you do for the community. We're looking forward to, keeping tabs on you and supporting you in any way and helping you to, continue to do amazing things here in Connecticut. So
can I just
Thank you,
shout out
Vanessa.
to the West Hartford Center? I mean, West Hartford Center has
Oh my gosh.
reposted a lot of our stuff the last few weeks. We really appreciate that. A lot
Center
of the West
Association.
Hartford groups. It's actually, when I go down there and I, see all the folks that are trying to keep their businesses open, eat out, that whole street of our neighbors on LaSalle Road. They're trying to stay open with, dinner and lunch takeout specials. We just had this crazy donuts delivered to our house today. They're doing, you don't get to
I read all of that.
you don't get to pick, but you just say, hey, send me the half dozen. And it was phenomenal. It lifted everybody in my household spirits. So everybody's being creative and it's inspiring. It really is.
It is. Well, we'll be featuring a lot more of those really creative stories, hoping to kind of inspire everybody else to do a little of the same. Everybody's in the same boat and we could all kind of figure this out together. So
Together, exactly.
Yeah.
Great message.
Thank you, ladies, so much for your time, and we will chat very soon.
Okay.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thanks again. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.